Hello and welcome to the Grit YouTube channel. Today we are going to be doing a 10-minute seated full body stretching routine. The goal of our YouTube channel is to make inclusive fitness content and to keep spreading the word that exercise is for everyone. Let's start by focusing on our breath. Breath work is one of the most important parts of stretching, and as you can see here, I am inhaling, holding my breath, and exhaling, which you want to continue to take these deep breaths throughout the whole stretching routine. The goal of these deep breaths are to decrease your heart rate and to relax your mind. I like to perform this 10-minute seated full body stretch in the mornings, right when I wake up. Some of the stretches we will do today are static, while others are dynamic, or taking joints through the range of motion. For these neck rolls, you will take your head side to side, tucking down towards your chest in between. This mobility exercise helps to release tension that we hold in our upper trapezius muscle, our neck, and our shoulders. This is really important because a lot of times people will hold tension here and not realize it. In this video, you may hear me refer to things like range of motion, mobility, flexibility, and a lot of times those are used interchangeably. For this next mobility exercise, you're going to sit on the edge of your chair and perform this sweeping motion to help elongate the spine into a hanging forward fold. Emphasis on the hang as we want our arms and our neck to be relaxed at the bottom. Throughout our days, we don't realize that we are always tense, so this hanging heavy motion really helps relax our body before we start our day. This is one of those motions that it is really important to coordinate with your breath. So when you're sweeping upward, you want to do a deep inhale, hold your breath maybe at the top, and exhale on the way down. I wanted to do a seated stretching routine to be inclusive, but this motion can also be done standing if you would like more of a full body stretch. For our next mobility exercise, you're still on the edge of your chair. We are spreading our feet and doing a nice spinal rotation. The way that I like to explain this to people is you do that forward fold, trace the inside of your leg with the back side of your arm and press against each other to get that extra rotation. Your back arm should be reaching for the sky, as well as your neck should be turned upward to get that full spinal column rotation. This is one of my favorite stretches, and a lot of times people will feel strain in the top shoulder. If that is the case, just lower the arm to a more comfortable position because we're here to stretch our bodies, not to strain them. A general rule of thumb with stretching is to continue deep breaths and try to hold things for at least 30 seconds. Next, we're going to do a seated back twist. As you can see, I take my arm across and grab the outside of the opposite leg. And if you're sitting in a chair that has armrests, that back arm can grab onto the armrest to help get that extra pull. As you can see, I have my head turned behind me for that extra rotation. This stretch is slightly different than the previous stretch because it stretches a different part of your back, your lumbar spine. Whereas when you have your chest twisted and your arms involved in the previous stretch, you're kind of focusing on your thoracic spine and up towards your cervical spine. This is your lumbar spine, your low back should be feeling a release here. So far we have covered our neck, our cervical spine, our thoracic spine, and our lumbar spine. Time to move to the lower body. This is a seated version of an old school hamstring stretch, so you should feel this on the back of your upper leg, leaning forward. If you're able to grab your toe while also keeping your knee straight, you can grab that toe and stretch the back of your lower leg, your calf muscles. As you know, whatever you do to one side of your body, we're going to go ahead and switch and stretch to the other side of our body. So here I am leaning forward, feeling that stretch on the back of my upper leg. Then I'm able to grab the toe and stretch the back of the lower leg. These stretches can also be done in a standing position. Just be careful of your balance if you choose to do them standing. For our next stretch, we're going to scoot back into our chair and stretch out those hips. This is called a seated figure 4 stretch because your leg sort of looks like the number 4. With this stretch, you're going to be placing the outside of your ankle on top of your other leg and slightly leaning forward to feel a stretch in the hip that the leg is bent. So right now I'm stretching my right hip. What I like to tell people about stretching is that you want to feel the stretch in the correct spot. So here we are stretching the hip, and you want to be feeling that pulling sensation, but not a painful sensation. So if you're stretching to the point that your face is grimacing, or you would describe it as painful, then you've probably taken it too far and you need to pull back a little bit to adjust your stretch to your needs. This is also a good time to address that this stretching routine may not work for everyone because everyone's needs are a little bit different and everyone's stretching and abilities is a little bit different. So if this stretching routine does not work for you, no worries. I can always adapt a stretch or an exercise for anyone's specific needs. Okay, we are back on the edge of the chair doing a nice sweeping side body stretch. So right here, I will be feeling this all down my left side from my hip, maybe even down in my leg, my back, up on the back side of my left arm. As you can see there, I'm grabbing the leg of the chair, so you can either sweep the arm underneath as we're doing here, or you could go ahead and grab the leg of the chair to pull a little bit more to get an extra stretch. Again, we're paying attention to our breathing and we're making sure that this is not painful. That's what we're trying to avoid. We're trying to stretch but not over stretch. So this is called a sweeping side body. Now we're going to go through and just give ourselves a nice great big hug. The purpose of this stretch is to protract our scapula, which is a way of saying to spread out our shoulder blades. These are muscles that are often tense as we tend to pull our shoulder blades together throughout the day for standing or walking and just in general. So a big hug will stretch those shoulder blades. Now we are switching to an overhead tricep and lat stretch. Your lats are your big muscles on your back and your triceps are your muscles on the back of your arms. So what we are doing here while focusing on deep breaths is bending that arm behind our head and using our opposite hand to apply the stretching pressure. This is a stretch that can easily create a painful or pinching sensation in the shoulders, so be careful and only press as much as you need to in order to feel that stretch and no pain. Again, we want to focus on deep breathing and not just pulling on the arm. Throughout the stretching routine, we have gone from our neck, down our spine, twisting. We've done our legs, hips, and shoulders. So let's roll it out and kind of relax our body. This shoulder rolling motion is supposed to loosen up our muscles and our joints and get us ready to take on the day. As you're finishing up loosening these shoulders, I want you to think about how different you feel from when you started this 10-minute stretching routine. We are going to end with a seated version of cat and cow, which is just a spinal elongation, concaving and convexing all of those joints. Again, with those deep breaths to help us get extra relaxed and finish off this stretching routine. A lot of people think 10 minutes is a long time to stretch, and I, for one, think 10 minutes flies by when you're focusing on all of your joints and a full body stretch. seems to me 10 minutes is the perfect amount of time to cover everything. I like to do these stretches and set my intentions for the day, think about how grateful I am, and those deep breaths and deep breathing help to relax me so I can take on the busy and chaotic days. Thank you so much for joining me on this 10-minute stretch, and I hope you join me for all of my future videos as well.